Hey there, welcome back. Tonight I'm going to be answering your questions. I have my handy dandy notebook here where I have written down some of the questions that you sent to me via the comments in one of my previous videos. So thank you for those who sent me a question. And so I'm going to keep things pretty simple. I'm going to read through these questions and give you my answers and see what we might explore together tonight. So I'm actually getting pretty close to the end of this notebook. I've been using it for a while. Let's see. Where's my list? Aha. Okay. Question number 1 is, do you have professional training in relaxation? I found this question very flattering, and it came along with a very nice compliment from one of you, so thank you very much. It means a lot to me that anyone might think I was a professional at this. And I do have a bit of what I guess you could call relaxation training. I am trained as a yoga teacher. I have my RYT 200 level yoga training certification. I did that back in 2014. And so as part of that yoga teacher training, I did receive instruction in meditation and how to teach meditation, and that's where I first learned some of the relaxation techniques that I use in my videos, like body scans. That's when you focus on different parts of the body one at a time to help you relax. And that's when I first learned to do guided shavasana, which is the final relaxation pose at the end of a yoga class. And I learned a lot through that training in general, obviously also how to teach yoga sequences and how to lead a class. And I did teach yoga classes regularly for a few years, so that gave me a lot of good experience in leading people through relaxation and meditation and getting to know what seemed to be most effective for people. So that's been helpful for me. And then currently I am in school to become an Ayurvedic wellness coach. And as part of that training, I'm also getting a lot of instruction in meditation and working with energy in the body and the chakras and all kinds of good stuff like that. So I'm trying to integrate as much of that knowledge as I can into my videos so that it can hopefully help you as well. And that's something when I first started my channel, I really started it because I wanted to do read-alouds. I really wanted to do a read-aloud of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. That's the very first thing I did, so if you've never listened to that and you're starting to feel in a holiday mood, you can give that a listen. And the other reason I started my channel was because I wanted to share guided meditations, and I actually have kind of gotten away from doing those a bit. I've been doing more traditional ASMR trigger kind of videos, which are really fun and very relaxing, and I will continue to do those, but I do want to get back to including meditations more regularly because I enjoy doing them. It's good practice and good experience for me to record them and to create them for you. And I hope, it's always my hope that somebody will stumble upon something like that at the right moment to help them relax and maybe help them through a tough situation. So that's why I do all my videos. That's what I'm always hoping for, is that the universe will use something that I've created to help somebody at a time that they need it. So to circle back to the original question, that I have had some training in meditation and relaxation, and I also have just always sort of had a natural sort of inclination towards it. And it's interesting towards, wanting to help people relax. And for a long time, I was actually quite self-conscious about my voice, especially when I was, in middle school and a teenager. I thought my voice was too low and too deep and husky, and that I sounded too manly, and I was sometimes self-conscious about sharing my voice. And I've come a long way in that regard over the years, and had some good experiences with sharing my voice in different ways that helped me to gain confidence. And I've really come to appreciate the uniqueness of my voice. And so I just wanted to say that please know it really means a lot anytime one of you compliments my voice or says that my voice is relaxing or soothing or helps you, because it makes me feel so good, and it really helps me to be reassured that I am doing things that I'm meant to do with gifts that I have that maybe I haven't always been brave enough to use. So, okay, I'm getting a little deep into this. Maybe this is a lot for the very first question. But it really got me thinking about my experience in relaxation and, ways that I want to continue to use this to help people, both here on my channel and in the work I eventually do as a wellness coach. So thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it. Okay, question number 2 is, what are your interests and hobbies? So for this one, I did make a little list. I did make a little bulleted list because I was afraid that I would forget to say something that I wanted to say. So I'll tell you what's on my little list of hobbies. First, I listed cooking and baking because I love doing both of those things. I started cooking when I was in my early 20s. I was vegan for a while, and that really got me into trying new recipes and experimenting with new vegetables and new ways of cooking. And that really is what taught me to cook, was learning to cook in a vegetarian and vegan way. And I'm now, that's been 20 years ago. I'm now in my 40s. And so my cooking style has evolved over time, and I love to experiment with different recipes. I like to bake. I make my own sourdough bread pretty much every week, and I like to make muffins and cookies and things like that. And I'm really into trying to find that balance between baked goods that are delicious and satisfying, but they're also nourishing and, somewhat healthy. I like to make muffins that you can eat and feel like you've been nourished and had some satisfying food, rather than just being delicious and making you want to eat 6 more muffins. So I like to experiment with recipes in the kitchen, and I like to cook all sorts of food. Lately I've really been into cooking more Indian food. I've been making dal and dosas, and that's just a whole amazing, fascinating, beautiful world of food that I'm learning more about. And also in the world of kitchen things, I like to do home canning. My husband and I make a lot of pickles. We do that every summer, dill pickles. And I can homemade tomato sauce and make jam and chutneys and things like that, kind of a different variety of things from year to year. And that's something I started doing a few years ago and really wanted to pick up doing because it's something that was a tradition in my family that my mom did when I was growing up and that both of my grandmothers did, and I really wanted to learn that skill and try to keep that tradition going. So I enjoy doing that, and also fermenting pickles and sauerkraut and kimchi and that sort of thing. I like making homemade fermented condiments, which are delicious and very good for you and very good for your digestion, which is kind of one of my other hobbies is trying to keep my digestion in good order because, you know, for those of us that struggle with anxiety, we know that sometimes, you know, that can affect us in our bellies. So anything we can do to keep healthy digestion is always a good thing in my book. Also, among my hobbies, I feel like I'm doing some sort of like an interview or something. Also, among my hobbies, I guess I am doing an interview with all of you. I would include listening to music because that's what I do most of the time, all of the time. I'm not really a big TV person anymore. I don't really watch TV at all, other than, you know, the YouTube channels that I watch, and I don't really even watch movies that much anymore. I just basically listen to music all the time. I also love to read, which is probably obvious from my read aloud videos, and I've had done a couple other book related videos. I really love to read all sorts of things, so that is one of the ways that I explore my interests is through reading books about all sorts of various topics I like. I like to read fiction, but I feel like the last few years I've been reading more nonfiction because I've just been in this sort of research and learning kind of mode. I'm a very curious person, so I would say that is one of my hobbies, is just picking something random that I'm interested in and looking it up. Like one day I decided I wanted to know exactly where cashews grow and where they come from and how they're harvested, and so I, you know, went down a rabbit hole and researched that, and it was very interesting. So, you know, pick a food or anything that you're interested in and just find out what it's all about. That's something that, you know, is one of the miracles of our time, that we have so much information available to us. So I like to take advantage of it. I have on my list of hobbies yoga and meditation. I already mentioned that I am trained as a yoga teacher and I do enjoy doing yoga very much, and I try to keep up with my meditation practice. I'm not always as consistent as I would like to be, but self-forgiveness and cultivating self-love, that's another one of my hobbies. So try to do that with all of my good habits and, you know, keep patience with myself as I build up good routines. And I really love gardening. I love being out in nature. I have done a few videos of my porch pots of herbs and flowers, and I just really love gardening, mostly with flowers. I don't grow a lot of my own vegetables because we get a farm share every week in the summer, which I've also done a video about, and so I don't grow a lot of vegetables other than herbs. But I really love growing things, and I love to, you know, just generally be outside, hike, be out in nature. And this summer I've really made it a point to make sure that I get outside on the earth in my bare feet every day whenever the weather allows, because there will come a point here in a couple of months when I'll be frozen indoors forever and, you know, can't get outside much at all, let alone in bare feet. So I've really wanted to take advantage of that grounding opportunity this summer. So one of my hobbies has been walking around barefoot outside. I don't know, I think that has, like, you know, cool names now. People call that earthing, you know, but just walking around in the dirt can be fun. It's good stuff. I also really love to write. I love to write in my journals. I love to, just do free writing, and I really love to write poetry. That's something I've done ever since I was really young, and I go with phases in it. And lately, the last couple of years, I've kind of been in a little bit of a poetry rut, which makes me a little bit sad. So maybe me even just saying this out loud to you all will maybe help me get out of the rut, and maybe I'll try to start writing a few poems again, because that's something that makes me really happy. And for me, poetry, the kind of poetry I like to write, really is just another exercise in mindfulness, because for me, writing poetry is always just about noticing things that are happening around me, noticing the details in situations and in conversations, and kind of seeing what's happening between the lines, and capturing those moments and those expressions, and those kind of sensations that we experience in the moment. So, wow, I wasn't expecting to get into my philosophy on poetry, but there you go. So I think that's a pretty comprehensive list of my hobbies and interests. Like I said, I'm a curious person. I like a lot of different things, but that's a good summary. And I have to say, just doing this Q&A video is a good exercise for me in kind of battling my perfectionism and some of the, parts of my anxiety that want to keep me from sharing myself, because I have to remind myself that when I answer your questions, this isn't a test. I'm not giving like a dissertation on my hobbies and interests that will be judged and graded by all of you. I'm just sharing some of the things that I love. And so thank you all for giving me this opportunity, like you do with every video, to just be myself and not be so worried about things, and to know that you all are here to listen to a ramble, so you don't mind if I ramble. Okay, moving on. Question number 3. What sort of music do you like? So this question also intimidated the heck out of me, because I love music so much. I love so many different kinds of music, and I was like, oh no, how can I ever, share, with people all of the different music that I like? How I'll forget something, I'll miss something. So what I decided to do was I made a random list of, I think it's about 25 bands that I like, and I am going to read their names to you in a sort of ASMR list reading sort of way, with getting some hand movements in there. But I really do like a lot of different genres of music. I kind of made a little list here too. I was very conscientious about this Q&A. Your questions are very important to me. I really like bluegrass and sort of like old-time country acoustic type music. That's what I grew up on, and that is a special like comfort spot in my heart for that kind of traditional music. But I also really like electronic music. I like classical. I'm always trying to learn more about classical. That's something that I am curious about learning more about. I love to dance, so I love any kind of music with a good beat. I love dance and funk music. I love 80s. I love classic rock. But then there's also a side of me that I love ambient music and what my husband and I call space music. Like, just sort of like trippy, out there, like really calming music. I have, this is just one album that I love, which is Paul Horn, who is a flute player, and he is playing inside the Great Pyramid, playing his flute, and it's amazing. The acoustics are incredible, and that's a very soothing ambient album that I love. And yeah, and I also like, sort of traditional music from all over the world. I love learning about different cultures through their music and their dance, and that's another way that I, really like to learn and explore. So music really is like my oxygen. It's just something that is with me through most of my days and has meant a lot to me all throughout my life. So it's probably my biggest interest and hobby and something that I really love. So this is a little bit silly, but I'll put a timestamp in for this too in case anyone really likes lists. But this is a list of 25 bands, groups, artists that I really enjoy. And I will say these are mostly groups. I didn't really get into individual artists and singers because then that would have been a whole other list. And I thought you might enjoy these because a lot of them have very interesting, fun names. Maybe I'll repeat them each a couple times just for ASMR tingly purposes. And you can let me know in the comments if you also enjoy any of these bands, and I hope that I might give you some ideas of new artists that you might explore. So here we go. They might be giants. They might be giants. Moonchild. Moonchild. The Wood Brothers. The Wood Brothers. Bonobo. Bonobo. Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk. Moxie Fruvis. Moxie Fruvis. Lunasa. 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 The Suitcase Junket. The Suitcase Junket. Distorted Penguins. Distorted Penguins. The Dirty Projectors. The Dirty Projectors. Rajatan. Rajatan. Rusted Root. Rusted Root. Sylvan Esso. Sylvan Esso. Sylvanesso. Sylvan Esso. Chromeo. Chromeo. The Black Keys. The Black Keys. Cake. Cake. Heart. Heart. Loudness. Loudness. The Sugar Cubes. The Sugar Cubes. Tuxedo. Tuxedo. Pizzicato 5. Pizzicato 5. Leisure or leisure. Beautiful chorus. Beautiful chorus. The Budos Band. The Budos Band. Krongbin. 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 There's my list of random good bands. I you some indication of my incredibly varied taste. Okay, on to the next question. Question number 4. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream, past and present? I really like that this question included the past and present because these things do change over time. So I would say that for my past favorite flavor, when I was a kid and growing up, I was definitely a mint chip gal. I loved mint chip ice cream, so that good old classic green mint ice cream with nice big chunks of chocolate in it, mint chip. And I would say currently, I've actually been really enjoying vanilla through the last few years of my life. There's a local place near me that makes a malted vanilla that is so good. So vanilla, I would say, is my current favorite. And I guess I would probably say the best ice cream I've ever had. What comes to mind is one of the times when I was on a holiday in Ireland and I went to Howth and I was along the water there, and I went to this really cute little ice cream shop and got a waffle cone of honeycomb ice cream. And it was so delicious and so unique, and just because, it was a beautiful day and I was in this wonderful setting and just feeling really happy, and so it was a delicious treat. If you ever get a chance to try honeycomb ice cream, I would recommend it. Okay, question number 5, next question. What are your favorite board games, especially obscure ones? That's another great question. Well, I should have mentioned in my list of hobbies that I really do like to play games, board games, and card games. I've never really played like RPG games or if you say RPG games, would you just say RP games? Yeah, you can really tell. Not a gamer. But I enjoy board games and card games. I was like, wait, what was I talking about? Board games and card games a lot. And, I love Scrabble. That is not an obscure one, but that is definitely one of my favorites. I love a good game of Scrabble. And I actually have a kind of fancy Scrabble board, one of the ones that rotates, and that the tiles kind of not stick, but they have little ridges, so that they stay in place better, so you don't have the frustration of your Scrabbly tiles, scrambling all over the place, which, if the game gets intense, that can happen sometimes. But as far as obscure board games, the one that immediately comes to mind for me is Double Crossing, which is a game that was put out in the 80s by the Lionel Model Train Company. This is a game from my husband's childhood that he still has, and it's kind of like a Monopoly-esque game where you have a big board and you're going around and there's lots of squares where you're collecting things and you're buying and selling and making deals, but it's all based on you being a railroad tycoon and buying train cars and getting contracts for them and double crossing the other players, your rivals, and stealing their contracts. And it's just a really, really fun game. The graphic design of it is really funny and clever, and all the different businesses that you can do business with on your railroad have funny, cool names, and it has really good gameplay because someone can be really, really close to winning and then something happens and sets them back, and things can change really quickly. So it's a lot of fun, and we definitely have whiled away a lot of hours in the winter playing intense games of Double Crossing. And it makes me think I should do a video about Double Crossing and show you all the board and how it works and everything, because it's a lot of fun. I haven't done any game ASMR videos. This Q&A is giving me lots of ideas. Next question. This is a pretty straightforward one. Do you like cacti? Yes, yes, of course I love cacti. I love all plants. I think that's probably pretty apparent if you've watched much of my content. I love the green things in the world. And I have a few cactuses in my current collection of plants, and it's really been a banner year for the cacti. I moved a couple of them outside, and in one of my videos, my tour of my porch plants, you actually got to see that cactus, and he's quite tall. And since that time, since I took that video, that cactus has grown a big beefy arm out of one side, and so I've been calling him Trogdor, which is an obscure Homestar Runner reference. If anyone in the audience ever watched those old Flesh cartoons and knows who Trogdor is, but it's grown this beefy arm out of one side, so it's got like, you know, a little cactus arm coming out on this side, and then it grew another little nubule up on top. So my cactuses are busting out this year, and I was really hoping maybe one of them would bloom because, you know, that's a cool rarity that hasn't happened yet. And of course, I'll be moving them back inside again soon. But yes, I love cacti, and I'm glad to see them thriving this year. Okay, and then the next question, which I think is going to be our last question for tonight, is what is your favorite time of day? And that's an interesting question for me because just in the last maybe 5 years of my life, I have really become a morning person. I have now become one of those people, I don't know if it's just like getting older or what, but that I sort of naturally wake up now at 5:30 or 6 in the morning most days, and that's okay with me because I like having that early morning time. I have to be careful and mindful because early morning is a time, you know, when anxiety just wants to, you know, come right up and snatch you. So I have to be careful to not let that happen. But morning is a wonderful time to be outside in nature. I love, you know, when the weather allows, going outside and listening to the birds and being outside early and meditating during that time. And it's just nice as a person who often needs time to myself to kind of like charge up for the day. I like to have quiet, peaceful time in the morning whenever I can. And, you know, I like other times of day. I like the afternoon. I like, you know, afternoon out on the porch and, you know, evening cozy time, and you know, I try to enjoy whatever time of the day that I am in. But I do have a soft spot for mornings, and I've been trying to keep my relationship with the morning. I don't know, keep it positive, and keep that being a time that I can use to nurture myself instead of a time to, you know, dive into a to-do list right away and try to judge myself on my productivity, which is something that, you know, I have a tendency to do. So here's to calm, peaceful mornings. Okay, so those are all of the questions I have in my little book. I did do another Q&A video. I just can't help tapping on this notebook because I love it and I love the texture. But I did do another Q&A video a few months ago when I was first starting out my channel. So I will link to that in case you would like to hear me answer more questions. And I just really appreciate you being here with me, especially with videos like this where I feel like I'm being a little more personal and it feels a little bit more vulnerable just to share things about myself in a more direct way. And I really appreciate you allowing me to have this space and, you know, being interested in what I have to say. That really means a lot. So be well, take good care of yourself,